in the Vicksburg system is your Vicksburg.
Michigan.
I'll do it. I'll do it at the when I go over this.
I'd like to call our meeting to order. Hello, hello.
Oh, I just wondered because I see.
Welcome to Sunset Lake Elementary for our board meeting tonight. Oh, good. I just wanted to remark, first of all, the work that was done over the summer. The entrance to the building and the facade really looks great. Place is much brighter and crisper, and I really appreciate all the work that was done over the summer. But we're glad to be here, and we'll start off with our superintendent's report.
Well, thank you, Dave. Welcome to everyone in the audience tonight and those watching the live stream. How's everybody doing today? You guys aren't nervous yet?
I just talked him down, Kevin.
A little bit?
You'll do great.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. We're looking forward to your report. Very excited, as Dave said, to be at Sunset Lake this evening, kind of our first school visit for the school board. Appreciate the warm welcome, PTSO. Thank you for the wonderful treats. And again, I'm looking forward to our reports this evening. I'd like to start out by saying a couple of words. Celebrated every October, National Principals Month is an opportunity to celebrate and honor our incredible school principals for their visionary leadership and tireless pursuit of success for each student. We are so thankful for our VCS principals who work tirelessly and courageously to ensure the safety, security, and well-being of all our students and staff. Leadership does matter, and it goes without question that we are truly fortunate to have such outstanding leadership from our principals on a daily basis. Principals, I know you hate this, but can you please stand up and be recognized? I can't thank you all enough for the support and for all that you do. Thank you. Just wanted to remind the board on October 1st, we had our fall count day. And as you recall, 90% of our foundation allowance is granted from this count, with the remaining 10% granted during the spring count. Our tentative enrollment as of today is 2510. And we're going to continue to finalize our enrollment numbers over the next several weeks. As we said, the enrollment's down just a little bit due to one of our buildings being down compared to last year at this time. But most of our other buildings are trending either positively or flat. And then, unbelievably, we finally have a budget. 3 months late, but we do have a budget. I definitely included some highlights of that budget in your packet. Steve and I have started to work through the details of the budget as they pertain to VCS, but we're looking forward to continuing bargaining with our employee groups in the near future. And stay tuned as more budget details come out. We'll certainly keep you posted. And I just wanted to share some more good news. This past weekend, we held the Bulldog Invitational at the stadium. I forgot how many bands were there.
Over 15, I believe.
Over 15 bands, packed house.
Yeah, it was one of the largest in the state.
I believe Rick, some others were there. I just want a huge shout out to everybody involved with. That's a huge undertaking to host. So thank you to all our volunteers. Thank you to our wonderful students, staff, everybody involved with that to make that so successful. Great news. Starting October 20th, we will start School Bus Safety Week. Looking forward to all those activities. On the 22nd, National Unity Day is going on across the country. That is due to the National Anti-Bullying Month that we're in right now. And we encourage everybody to wear orange on that day on the 22nd. And then the 24th through the 26th, come on out and see our talented youngsters in Seussical Junior in the PAC. I'm sure Dusty could give you a lot more details, but I know he's going to say it's going to be an outstanding show. Hopefully everybody can come by and root on our kids. And then, hard to believe, less than 3 weeks away, the first 9 weeks will be over. We'll be have Records Day, no school for students, and that's Halloween. Halloween Day. So you guys will be able to get ready all day long. And with that, Dave, that's my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda. That would be reports and public inquiry, budget and finance reports. Steve?
Okay, be a fairly brief report this evening. I'm going to start with the monthly general fund budget progress report. And this would include activity through the end of September. Revenue on a year-to-date basis came in at $1,236,694, and you can see that the majority of that is in the form of local revenue. Of course, summer property taxes were due in September, and that's a majority of that amount right there. And we had some revenue from KRESA, primarily related to the enhancement millage. So total revenue, $1,236,694. On the expenditure side, total instructional expenditures, just over $1.9 million. Support services came in at just over $2.5 million. Athletics, $94,000, and community services at $108,000. And so expenditures on a year-to-date basis, $4,613,235, and that is a shortfall compared to our revenues, again, on a year-to-date basis. And so that shortfall is just under $3.4 million. That's pretty normal for this time of year, and we've talked about that. We can go into it in more detail at another meeting if that would be helpful, but that's just ebbs and flows in our cash flow. We expect to kind of start that way. Of course, we receive our last installment of state aid for last school year in August. Our fiscal year starts in July. Obviously, the school year starts end of August. We don't receive any state aid for the month of September, and then the first installment will come about the third week in October. All right? So that's...
With the budget delay, you don't expect the delay there?
I haven't heard yet, but I mean, it should be a fairly brief delay. So
Okay.
if there is, at this point, I haven't heard that there will be. So we're just assuming it's business as usual right now. All right. Second page of that report includes expenditure data by object code. And salaries and benefits, year-to-date, just over $3 million at $3,070,000. Purchase services, $818,000. Supplies, $659,000. Capital outlay, $59,000. Other expenditures, just over $4,000. Really, the big difference between last year and this year, for a short period of the year that only really encompasses 1 month of school. You can see that our expenditures are down roughly close to $1 million compared to the same period last year. And if you go back to last year, you'll remember that we purchased a number of school buses, and that total cost was right around $1 million. So that's a majority of that difference. All right? Any questions on that report? All right, if not, then we'll just take a quick look at the district's investments as of September 30th. Won't spend too much time here. You can see that we have investments in 2 building and site funds. The 2022 and the 2024 building and site funds still have some remaining investment dollars there. The debt retirement fund, we continue to have just over $1 million there. And then finally, general fund. And if you follow this closely, we're, prior to this month, we've had about $1 million more in that, around 5.1 or 5.2 million. And so part of that, addressing our cash flow needs, we've pulled some of those investments back for cash flow purposes, but still, at the end of September, invested funds for the general fund were 4.2 million. And then just a real quick note, you can see interest rates are starting to come down a little bit, and I think we're going to see more of that. Of course, Federal Reserve lowered target rates last month, and by all appearances, it appears that more cuts are coming, so which is fine. But we'll see those interest earnings start to come down pretty rapidly. Those short-term rates respond pretty quickly when the Fed takes action. So total investments, just under 11 million district-wide. Those are broken down by each fund, and each fund stipulates how those funds can be used. And then you can see there's a summary of investment income. And still, it's, you know, they're meaningful numbers. Year-to-date, between all the funds, we're at about 100, not quite 152,000 investment income. Any questions on that? All right, if not, then that will conclude my report.
Very good. We'll move on to item D, Community Education Annual Report. Alyssa Thompson.
Hi, you might want to turn around.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
You're just gonna have to talk loud. Girl, you got
Do
it.
I have? Okay. Say it again. Thanks. Yep, it was. Oh, here we go.
You got it?
I think so.
There, talk. Now you got it?
Now you can hear me. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm the Director of Community Education, and what that means for Vicksburg is the community classes and camps and events that we have throughout the year, our Kids Club before and after school child care program, and our GSRP preschool program. In your packets, you should see the participation reports for all of our community classes, camps, and events. And in the last couple of years, I've discussed our Kids Club. We're still going strong, and in fact, we're coming off a really great summer, and we are at full capacity for the school year. But tonight, I'm going to share out on our preschool program. At each of our elementaries, we have the Great Start Readiness preschool program, and it's a grant-funded program through the state of Michigan to provide 4-year-olds a preschool experience at no charge. Enrollment starts in early spring and continues through the summer. There has been some changes with the enrollment guidelines within the last year, but the biggest change is the income threshold is now at 400% of federal poverty level or below until August 15th. After August 15th, if I still have slots, then it's the free pre-K for all. Once the applications are processed and our rosters are built, several events take place. First, I meet with each family to discuss curriculum and sign a few papers. Then we have a program-wide orientation. This is where Sarah from food service and Karen from transportation come and answer any questions that our families have on preschool items, like riding the bus at 4 years old and eating breakfast, lunch, and snack in the classroom at 4 years old. Next, we have open house at each individual classroom. This is where families have the opportunity to meet their teacher and see the environment. And lastly, we have home visits. Yes, we go to every family's home to build a relationship on their turf, answer any last-minute questions, and just get excited with them about preschool starting. Finally, after all these events, it's time for preschool. As we continue through the year to ensure quality programming takes place, we are observed by KRISA using a tool called the CLASS. The CLASS stands for, well, it's obviously CLASS, and it stands for, it's a validated instrument used to measure and improve the quality of interactions between educators and children in the learning settings. And I am proud to share that last year, all of our classrooms scored above the national average on this. Here's a picture of our wonderful team that accomplished all of this. There they all are. And the next picture individually is by classrooms. So at Sunset Lake, I have on the left Jessica Snyder, Sophie Bell in the middle, she's our floater through all 3 classrooms, and then Jennifer Kling. At Toby, we have Claire Town and Catherine Lacoste, and at Indian Lake, Nina Bostaki and Bree Knox. An additional piece of excitement this year for us is that our Sunset Lake team, I have to put my glasses on. Our Sunset Lake preschool teacher is a mentor for a high school student who is an inspiring educator with the Educator Academy at K-Lisa. And we are excited to welcome Reagan Treemstra. There she is within her first couple weeks teaching a lesson to the class about trees. Thank you to everybody that supports our community ed programs throughout the whole year. Special thanks to Jessica Fontan. And then Beth at work couldn't be here tonight, but we couldn't do what we do without her. So we are so excited to have her talents every day in our program. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Alyssa before we move on? Okay. Most exciting item on the agenda is our Sunset Lake Elementary Annual Report. And these folks in the front row. So, there you are.
Again, you're going to want to be able to turn around. You're going to do this a little bit to the side here. Thank you. All right. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We are excited, and as Dr. Schremer already mentioned, our crisp building, we're super excited about the work that was done over the summer. So at Sunset Lake, we are a Leader in Me school, and so every day we start our morning off with we are lifelong learners and lifelong leaders with our student announcements. And it's something not only for our kids to remember, but also our staff. Let's see if this is going to work for me. Yeah. So staff, beginning of the year, super excited. I don't know if you noticed when you entered here, leaders enter here is something that is just kind of our belief, our mantra. All kids have greatness. All kids are leaders. And so, and we also think about that as our staff. Our staff take on leadership roles every single day. So to start, before I get into the nitty-gritty of some of the information I want to share, I want to thank the BCS community for the bond work that they grant us, because it is a wonderful, I have some pictures here of the bathrooms in case you don't get a chance down there. But so when you first came in, you may have noticed our beautiful floors, crisp lights, the paint jobs, all the different freshness. And then in our bathrooms, so last summer, we gave thanks because half of our building was done last summer, and with the size of the building, the other half got done this summer. So the kids, again, it's kind of like the McDonald's fun look with the red and white. So they love that. And so we're super excited to have our early elementary, our grades 1 and 2 hallways done. And I know our maintenance crew are super excited because we used to have some plumbing issues before. And those are all now, knock on wood, going well. So thank you to the VCS community for your support with our school improvements. All right, also, sticking with the thank yous, our PTSO is amazing. They do so many things for our school, and they put so much time and commitment into that. And so our co-presidents are Sarah Feil and Heather Mikowski. They're in the back. Hello. We have Vice President Daniel Crawford. Vanessa Stahl is our treasurer. I believe she's here tonight. Yay. And we have our secretary, Jamie Shoemaker, who could not be here tonight. And then our volunteer coordinator, Bailey Van Linder. And so that was a new position, which I thought was really smart, was trying to coordinate all the volunteers. So the PTSO, yes. Along with that, here are just some of the many, many things they do for us. The fun run right there in the middle has evolved. It used to be a walkathon, and that is the promise to our families. We do one fundraiser. So the PTSO, they've promised to really work really hard for this one big fundraiser. And so over $35,000 was raised last year, which is fantastic. The walkathon has evolved. As you see, there's blow-ups, and then last year they coordinated with Next Level, a local organization, and so they had obstacle courses if they weren't doing their laps. Lots of fun, and so they had different activities, and so it's a great day that we have the music out, lots of fun. And so our community and our families, we thank you because you give so much, and our PTSO brings in different things through that fun run. We also have the Sweetheart Dance every year. The Sons of Sunset tends to be a trip to the K-Wings. The Sweetheart Dance is a wonderful time in February around Valentine's. Popcorn Fridays, last Friday, you could smell it as soon as you walked in the morning. They get here super early, and I think the adults are as excited about the popcorn as the kids are. Yeah. The family movie night, they're going to bring back that this year. The trunk or treat is this Saturday, so I know we're going to have lots of Sunset Lake families around our track for trunk or treat. The Roar Assembly, last year they sponsored a Respect and Responsibility Assembly. It was a magic show. It was really fun. And so for the PTS, we thank them because those funds, they help support that. And every month we do lunch with the principal. Every classroom gets Leaders of the Month. And so a couple students for every classroom. And each month our PTSO helps sponsor that. And a big shout out to the Van Linder family who also sponsors our cupcakes and juice boxes for that. So thank you again, PTSO. Lots of love to you because you guys are amazing. So, all right. Oh, can't forget, this is another big page here. One last page for PTSO. The fun run, I just talked to you about the big $35,000 plus that was raised. We are going to be, hopefully in November, we're going to be putting in a new structure on our early elementary, our lower L. Some of the old wooden structures were needing to go, and so we're going to get this really new big structure that looks like that. And a big shout out to the Vicksburg Foundation because we didn't quite get to the finish line with the fun run, and so our PTSO wrote a grant to the Vicksburg Foundation to try to help us get all the bells and whistles because we wanted to really finish the look, and so the Vicksburg Foundation also donated generously to that. And then our last but not least is that beautiful person right here, Mrs. Phillips, our kindergarten teacher. She is highlighting our signs. If you didn't notice when you walked in, please make sure you take a look on your way out. The new signs were a combination of PTSO paying for our brackets, and then schoolpictures.com helped us with the signs. They're fantastic because the sign below for the teacher's name can shift. So if it's a teacher's teaching second grade one year, it can go to another hallway and to another sign. We're super excited about the way they look. A recent visitor kind of mentioned how it makes it look like a little village. So we are loving our signs. Now I think we're done with the PTSO. Okay, getting into the heart of our report. This is something I share every year, and I know we have a couple new members tonight, so welcome and thank you for being here. So you'll see we always start with our VCS vision and mission. It is our Vicksburg Community Schools Traditions and Excellence that all students will graduate college and career ready, and to maximize the success and potential of each student. So as a Leader in Me school, we really believe that every student has genius, every student has the potential of leadership, and so we really take those two things to heart. Also, along with our Vicksburg vision is the principles of a professional learning community. If you come to you're going to hear it at every building, I'm sure. We are a professional learning community, and within that, we have the different aspects here. This first one is really learning about the students and the learning of what we're doing and what we're teaching. The middle is about the culture and how we have a collective efficacy and how we work together. And then the final is really talking about the data and the results that we work and put in place. So that aligns beautifully with our Leader in Me framework. Our Leader in Me framework has the leadership and the professional learning, and it talks about the learning that the students have. They are here tonight. We have some 4th and 5th graders that have to be really patient because you guys are at the end. So they're going to be talking a little bit about their leading their learning. The culture, it's an ongoing all the time. We're talking about the whole child with our culture. We're talking about our collective efficacy as a staff. We're talking about our family engagement. We're talking about the whole kit and caboodle. Is that a right saying, kit and caboodle? And then finally, the aligning of academic systems. We have a lot of work to do when it comes to our learning pieces of results, but I also know that we have a lot of things in place that we're working towards, so I'll share more about that. Another part about a Leader in Me school is changing from not this to that. So leadership for the few, for us, everyone can be a leader. And actually the next picture I think shows it better. The paradigms that we believe in. Everyone can be a leader. Everyone has genius. Change starts with me. Empower students to lead their own learning, and educators and families partner to develop the whole person. So as a leader, those are the paradigms that we work through, and we need to keep that. And so every staff member has that, like that little copy of that little poster type, I guess it would be a flyer. And those are the roots of the foundations of what Sunset Lake believes in. So let's get into it. Culture. I'm going to start with culture, and I'm going to go to academics, and then we will end up with the leadership. So you guys are being really patient. Great job. Okay. We are, as a district with the professional learning community, we use Solution Tree. Solution Tree is a organization that has proven results, and they really work together with schools to create a learning community that's focused on results, focused on the whole culture. So out of this is just a quote I'm picking out of Solution Tree. But we really do believe in the productive cultures. The faculty has to continue to strive and understand what's happening, and we're continually working together. And I'm super proud of our Sunset Lake staff, because we are a staff of rolling up our sleeves. There's some challenges out there every day that we have different challenges, but we also have a lot of fun together. And so our culture, we think, is a place of love, I guess I like to say. All right. When it comes to culture, this is some of the things that are going on, and I'll talk a little bit about some specifically. The whole child approach, we have multi-tiered systems of support, and we not only talk about that with academics, but we talk about that with the social and emotional learning and the supports that they need. We have a student service coordinator, Mrs. Lewis. Miss Lewis is a student service coordinator who works really great with our resources, such as just recently we had the Lions Club here for the kids' sites, and we were working with our community, our school counselor, and 31N counselors. So not only do we have a school counselor, we are able to pull out some other counselors that come 2 days a week, and for students that need some extra. Integrated Services of Kalamazoo, or you may have heard of ISK. Our student service coordinator works strongly with them, trying to make sure that we have different resources, housing. There's different things that families need. We work with getting eyeglasses, medical, all of that. Our positive behavior interventions and habits all work together. Last year we talked about our Building Healthy Communities, which our PE teacher works with. It's a Blue Cross Blue Shield grant, and we talk about different initiatives, and this year we're going to continue work with our playground. And this is our second year with our house system, dogs. When you walked in, you may have saw some of that, and it's just one of those, beyond our 7 habits, we also have where we have houses, and kind of think Harry Potter, where we have there's 5 different houses, and they're K5. And so in the house of determination, awareness, wisdom, grit, and synergy. And those words are purposely selected. We really want our kids to know those words and live those words. And so with that, kids can earn dogs tickets and positive leader tickets. And on each week and Friday at the end of the day, we'll find out which dog house won with the most tickets for the week. And so it's really it builds a sense of belonging. And our 5th graders know our 3rd graders, and our 3rd graders know our kindergartners. And so we've really enjoyed that piece. Just going to fly through some pictures here when it comes to our culture, and then get to the next part. One of our big pride moments last year was our Literacy Leadership Night, and this came with some family engagement pieces. We had over 500 people in our building that night, and it was in March, during March's Reading Month. It was amazing, because every grade level, every team had student leaders leading and talking and having people come. We partnered with Gilbert and Ivy, our local bookstore. And we also had an author right here. She was a past NASA astronaut. So it was Make Space for Reading, which all of our elementaries did. And we had a night where she came and she signed, and it was just great. We had Kalamazoo Literacy Foundation here. We had our, not you anymore, but our local library. It was a really exciting night. So that was a big piece of our culture building with our family engagement. And then Innovation Grant, again, our thanks to our Vicksburg Community Schools and our Vicksburg Foundation. One of our big things that Mrs. Sammy Buell, our second grade teacher, she wrote the grant for a greenhouse. And so we have some work started with right in our corridor, we have a little greenhouse where kids are going to be planting things, and some of our second graders are already on that. We also, with our Green Innovation Grant, we had cup stacking from our PE, and then we had a air zoo. It was very fun assembly, and I think we have one of our girls up there right now. Miss Brooklyn, there's a picture of you there. Okay, wrapping up with our culture. Another part of the Innovation Grant was Playworks. You're going to hear that other elementaries as well. It's been a really great piece of learning for our playground supervisors. We have systems in place. We have games. We have engagement. And I will say our transitions in and out from playground has really improved during our Playworks. And they come out and they train and they observe and they help us make our systems better and play. And sometimes it sounds crazy, but we need to help our kids play. I've already highlighted a little bit about Mrs. Swan, our counselor. She's a fabulous resource for our families. And then this year, we also have an ELL and behavior specialist. The number of students with English language learning needs has grown at Sunset Lake. And so we have Lydia Reidinger. She's fantastic. She has joined us this year. And she kind of duals. Our ELL population has grown. So behavior specialists, we grab her when we can with that aspect. But she's teaching kids all the time. And then I mentioned Mrs. Lewis, our student service coordinator, always with kids. So lots going on when it comes to building our positive learning culture. Okay. That was just our dogs' houses. This is kind of just fun because we have kids with different ages all together. All right. Into academics. In teaching, you have to believe that every single student can improve a great deal and that you're willing to make it happen. And so again, this just comes from the work out of Solution Tree. And wherever a child is, we need to meet them there. And so that is what we strive to do. Okay, all the different things for academics. Again, MTSS, a schedule shift, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a future slide here in a minute. But we have what we call our collaborative teacher teams. This is at every single building at Vicksburg, and we have a PLC focused on that. And each week, they will be meeting as a grade level, and they decide the assessment that they're going to be reviewing and coming together. And with that, they make some instructional decisions. One of the things that we do at Sunset is one of the months, we have a K2, they're all together. Instead of just kindergarten meeting here or there, we have K2 all in the library, and then one of the weeks we have the 3-5 teams all in the library. So it's kind of nice because our interventionists and our special education teachers and myself, and we can find the teams all in one spot. A new piece for academics this year is our iReady. iReady is a new diagnostic. In the past, board members, you probably have heard me talk about STAR from Renaissance. Well, now we have iReady, and so I'll just share a little bit of that data with you in a few minutes. A big part of our academics has been and will continue to be small group instruction. We're working at when we do a whole group, and then we break it down into small groups. The teachers do a whole group, and they're bringing it down, and then they will kind of meet the students in groups that are homogeneous on what they need. And across the district as well is instructional rounds where we get to meet, and then we're going to be going to Indian Lake here in the next week or so to get to do instructional rounds and visit, and then people will be coming here in November to see our teachers, and we learn from each other. It's a beautiful thing. FAME is, we have a cohort started with our upper L teachers, and it is a State of Michigan formative assessment group. And it has really been led by our coaches, and we're very thankful for the learning that we're getting from FAME. And with our early L teachers, they have been really working hard with LETRS professional development. So both of these are professional development pieces for our teachers to improve their academic instruction. Career exploration is a big piece of academics. Ms. Swan is bringing the, having our kids engaged and thinking about the future is something that we want to connect. And so this year we're super excited that we're going to have an Upper L Career Day coming up November, and then in the spring we're having an Early L, an elementary career day. And so connecting our kids to what could be in the future, it's important, and we want to make sure that they understand the reason of why they're here. We have an attendance focus. I'll talk a little bit about that. Building intervention meetings. Our building interventionists, both reading and math, work really hard. They are constantly looking at their data, constantly looking at their reports. I enjoy meeting with them because they let me know where kids are at. It's consistently being updated because we change. Our data changes and kids hopefully are changing. And then this year, we also want to do kind of the behavior and intervention collaboration. We tend to, we're working with our behavior teams and we're working with our intervention teams, so we really want to collaborate a little bit more because it's important for them to know what the child is needing. And then DOK. Some people in the education world may know that, depth of knowledge. It's something that looking at some of our MSTEP data, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute, it's something that I know as a building here, we started talking about making sure that our assessments that we have here are at the level that the state is looking at. So we'll talk about that. How am I doing, Mr. Brush, with my time? Am I over? Okay. Our building goal, I don't really have to read this to you. It's just formative assessment with instructional decisions. Through our CTTs, I've already talked to you about it. Our teachers are collaborating. They're using that data based on an assessment that they did. And when I say formative, it means that assessment is forming their decision. So formative. And so instead of like at the end of a unit, summary or data, they're trying to use things along the way, so we don't wait to the end of the unit to decide what they need to know. So, and then also making sure the students are empowered with their learning goals, and some of our fourth graders will talk a little bit about that with their binders. Good job hanging in there, guys. I brought this up because I wanted to share. In the past, I've always talked to you about the pyramid, MTSS pyramid. Our speaker at the beginning of the year, Josh Ray from Solution Tree, he was phenomenal. I just think he was here with us last year, and he spoke again this year. And he talked about the pyramid being upside down. And what we think about this is our tier one, the core. Every student needs to have the standards that are at their grade level, the core instruction of our reading, writing, math, science, and social studies. And then some students need that instruction and some more. So they have core and more. And then some students need core more and more. So this year, we've done in the past where we've had, let me go to the next one. We've had what we call our WIN schedule, what I need. We just kind of beefed it up even more so this year. The WIN time, what I need, we have been working together to get tier 2 and 3. We had some hiccups this year, but I think we'll get even better next year. What we want to make sure is that we're having a time for students that need that core and more, the yellow, that tier 2. And then on top of that, some students need even more. Now, God bless our special education teachers because, and I know there's one in the back, because asking them to do that and then taking the schedule of the students and trying to make sure that our students are not missing out on anything is a puzzle. And then sure enough, you get it figured out and a new student moves in. So it's a constant renewal of our schedule, but it's important so our kids get the core and more, and then some get core more and more. So I already talked about FAME and letters. The letters is based on the science of reading. I'm really proud of the work that we've been doing in the K-1-2 and the growth that we've had with our K-1-2 and the results we're seeing with that. The Zello here is recognizing that is our format for our careers, our career exploration. And then DOK talks about, when I talked to Josh Ray, our speaker from Solution Tree, he mentioned for state assessments that state assessments often have a large majority of their questions at a DOK 3. Like, it's more than just a recall. It's strategic thinking, it's exploration, it's explaining. And so we want to work on our assessments and try to make sure that we're getting a little bit deeper into DOK 3. And making sure that we have a balance, I guess, is really the goal there. All right, thanks for hanging in here. We're getting there. Okay. All right. Our attendance. I wanted to talk about our attendance and what we've been doing. Mrs. Lewis, our student service coordinator, and myself and Mrs. Sprinkle from our office, we work together in trying to make sure that we are tracking our attendance and that we're moving the needle where it needs to go. So instead of policing, we really do believe you make gains with attendance when it's about the sense of belonging. Again, our dog houses are why you're here, making school fun, building that culture where kids want to be here. So making sure that they're connected and not disengaged, what's getting in the way, focusing on the relationships. Sometimes at the elementary level, I mean, it's really the student, it might depend on the family member. So it does depend on the family member. So we reach out to them. We talk about integrated services of Kalamazoo. What do you need? Do you need car? Do you need transportation? Do you need gas cards? Do you need... So our behavior specialist, Ms. Reidinger, our counselor, Mrs. Swan, and Mrs. Lewis, our student service coordinator, and myself, we're just trying to always make sure why aren't kids here and what's going on. So just to share a little bit about our data. We've had a decline, a steady decline. Now 21, 22, I don't think it would be a surprise as to what the kind of the numbers are, you know, for chronically absent was at 30.69. And then 22, 23, we had a nice decrease to 15.3. And that's chronically absent would be 20% of their school year, 20 days of their school year. And then last year it was at 14.2. So non-chronically absent students attend about 95 to 96%. And then those that are chronically absent, that 20%, they're about 84 to 85% of the time. So, all right, this one I think I might have to go to the back to click on. I will be right back. Okay. When I mentioned the pyramid, what you'd want to see is a pyramid that has about 80% of your students at the grade level and about 15 to 20% needing some more support, and then about that 5 to, or less percent. And so this is our beginning of the year view. This is our reading. And if you look to see at our little pyramid, we're at about, it's 81% of our students are where they need to be at this time of year. 12% are at tier 2, needing more, and then risk tier 3. So our pyramid for reading at this time of year is about what you would want to see for a typical. I'll be right back for the map. You will see pretty much the same. It's 79% for tier 1. So again, the goal is 80. Tier 2, we had 14, and then tier 3 at 7. So this is beginning of the year math for our Sunset Lake building. So this is new, iReady. It's going to be new for all of us, and so we will be doing this again in December. We're going to be learning as we go. We had some great training last week when it was our half day of school. Our staff had some really great time with the curriculum associates representatives and learning more about how we learn the reports. The thing that we have loved so far specifically is how in depth it goes into. If you noticed here, it says number and operations, algebra and algebraic thinking, measurement and data, geometry. It breaks it down by the skill set specifically. Same with reading. Okay. Now, I mentioned the other two reports are what we want to see. And this, I'm just going to be full transparent here. This is not as much as what we would want to see. So MSTEP Proficient and Advanced in 23-24, I do want to point out some things. Our third grade, this is one data point, it is one test. But our third grade at this test showed 22.2, and then different third graders showed 30.5 proficient or advanced. One thing I want to show is the diagonal. So these students in third grade were at 22.2, and then in fourth grade it rose to 35.3. And then in fourth grade, 38 in 23, 24. Again, these would be different fourth grade students. When they were in third grade, it was 22. So, and then in fourth grade in 23, 24, they were at 38. And then as fifth graders, it went up, which that was a substantial increase right there. So those students made that growth. So that part we want to see. We want to see that growth of one cohort of students rising to the next cohort. We want to see those numbers up overall. So going back to that depth of knowledge and making sure some of our assessments that we're doing here are at a level that the state is requiring is going to be part of our work. And then math, also I wanted to point out that we had adopted a new curriculum, ELA, and that's been, we have really feel like it's been a great addition and a good change. Math, Eureka Math is our main core curriculum we've had a while. 23, 24, it's at 28.9, and then we had a nice rise there in third grade. And then our students in third grade, when they went to fourth grade, it really was pretty much, it was less than, it was pretty much the same, stagnant. And then when we talk about fifth grade, it went from the 1 year and then it raised up. So looking at our math, I can tell you that the math M-STEP, it's a little trickier. When I used to teach, we would be able to do a data analysis. We'd get some things back and we'd be able to analyze the questions specifically. It's definitely trickier in the state of Michigan now, being able to dig into the deep levels of the questions because we don't necessarily get to see all that. But trying to figure out to make sure our assessments that we're doing locally are at a level of state rigor is the word that we've been talking about. So how do we respond? Well, data-driven decisions. I mentioned Josh Ray from Solution Tree. It was one of the things that he and I talked with him later on. I reached out to him. But we have a Sunset Lake PLC Drive, and inside that, for Professional Learning Community Drive, we have grade teams and department folders within there. Simplifying our priority standards. Sometimes when we talk about all the different standards kids have to learn, we needed to simplify them, and actually using AI, artificial intelligence, to help create it and simplify it was kind of a good thing that we've been able to start doing. Tracking the standards and monitoring it, and then the CT meetings with vertical alignment, like I mentioned. Our third, fourth, and fifth grade teachers have worked really hard. For example, last year they talked about writing, and so they talked about sentences. What does it look like for a third grader? And then the third grade teachers talked to the fourth graders, and then the fourth graders talked to the fifth grade teams. And so we did some vertical alignment about what it was to get our fifth graders to write to that point. And so the students knew the goals. The students were a part of that as well. And then Calvary meetings just means like the whole child approach. Not only are we talking about their academics, but what are all the needs of these students? If they're all the different, like we have different demographics, we have different needs. If the child is not able to come to school, or if the child has things that are getting in the way of their learning. So, all right, I think we're about ready to get into the last section. All right, leadership. We have a family lighthouse team. We have a student lighthouse team, and student voice is important here too. So our family lighthouse team really worked well with last year getting that family literacy night. This year we are talking about our two big initiatives, is learning a little bit more about the anxious generation and student engagement. And those two things came from our family perception data. And so we decided from our family perception data, one of the things is student engagement. Our student lighthouse team is going to be led by Mrs. Kaler, our music teacher, and Mrs. Buell, our second grade teacher. So last year, I kind of already mentioned this. Those were our big rocks, but in this year, our big rocks were going to be that student engagement. So anxious generation and student engagement are big pieces. Okay. our student lighthouse. This year, working on the greenhouse support. We love that the high school's already reached out because the NHS is doing a fall food drive, and we're going to be partnering with them. So our student lighthouse kids are excited about that. And they're also going to do a solution-seeking kind of box in the lobby and having kids write down questions of things that they want to see better. And so our student lighthouse is going to take on that charge. All right, I think it's about ready for Mrs. McCaw to stop talking. All right, just a little reminder. Oh, some of our pictures didn't come up. Some leadership roles, student-led assemblies. They lead our assemblies, student announcements, safeties, hallway leaders. We have older students helping our younger students walking from lunch and recess. And we need our fourth graders. Our fourth graders. We're almost done. Thank you very much. Okay. Our fourth graders are here to talk about their leader binders. And so you guys are going to want to talk into this. And you guys have what you're going to say, and you guys are good to go. I'm going to be right next to you here. Come right up here to here. Okay.
Hello, my name is Brooklyn File, and I'm in a fourth grader in Mr. Shin's class.
Hello, my name is Zeke Stahl, and I'm a fourth grader in Mr. Lee's class.
We are here to share our experiences with our student Sunset Lake leader binders.
The first section is the All About Me section. It helps my teacher learn more about my interests, like how when I grow up I would like to be a fashion designer.
This next section is my wigs. This is about my widely important goals. For example, I want to learn how to improve my multiplication skills.
Sorry, you guys are going so fast. Wigs, and now?
The next section is my learning, and this is where we keep some of my schoolwork. For example, my multiplication table quizzes. At this point, we will continue to add this section all year.
This next section is my leadership. This is about different leader roles or jobs I have. At this time, I don't have anything in my folder yet, but I am a Sunset Lake safety and on the lighthouse team, so I will add some information later.
The next section is my celebrations. This is where we keep special awards or I have my Happy Meal that I got from my teacher from showing kindness or helping someone with their desk.
We also have our classroom mission statements in our binders.
Any questions?
Can we see one of the binders? I mean, I know, I'm assuming that's yours, but is there a chance, Amy, later that we
Yeah.
can see what those look like?
It's always hard because October with our, we don't have a lot in our binders yet, but
Right.
absolutely. And do you
I
wanna-
love this
go
so
ahead.
much.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What house are you guys in?
I'm in Synergy.
Synergy? In what? Wisdom? Nice. Very cool.
Maybe determination. Which, by the way, the adults are also in these houses. Forgot to tell you that part. And I also forgot to say that when a student is in a house, they're in the house the whole time they're here at Sunset. Right.
That's awesome.
Dr. Schreiner, did you want to ask? It looked like you were going to say something.
I was just going to ask if they play Quidditch, but I guess.
All right. Thank you, fourth graders. With the mission statements, it's different than rules. Instead of a set of rules, it's a mission statement where they agree as a class what they want their class to be. So they agree, they sign it. This is our promise, kind of. It's like a promise. So our fifth graders, are you guys ready? Yeah, come on up. We're doing this one a little bit differently. So there's going to be a question, and then they're going to be ready to answer them. All right? But would you guys first introduce yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
Hello, my name is Dean Cugliata, and I'm a fifth grader in Mr. Block's class.
Hi, my name is Vivian Ebert. I'm in 5th grade and I'm in Mr. Block's class.
Hi, I'm also Brooklyn, but I'm Hambright, and I'm a 5th grader in Miss Terson's class.
Hello, I am Michael Hillman and I'm in 5th grade and I am in Mr. Gilman's class.
Hi, my name is Mason Reynolds. I'm in 5th grade, and my teacher is Mr. Gilman.
Hi, my name is Braylee Whitmore. I'm in 5th grade, and my teacher is Miss Shimpin, Miss Witters.
I'm Layla Hambray. I'm in 5th grade, and I'm in Miss Cherzin's class.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can put it down a little bit, maybe. Sorry, I'm short too, so I know. All right, so we have questions for them. So they decided, there was a lot of different questions that were on this little handout, and they decided what questions they wanted, they felt comfortable asking, or answering, sorry. So, and they, you can tell they're gonna run the show here. So the first question is, what does being a leader mean to you?
Being a leader is like that you're walking in halls and doing things that you should, but also demonstrating respect to others and showing our 7 habits.
To me, being a leader means doing the right thing when no one's watching. To me, being a leader means to have interpret listening so you can listen to others, but also have others respect you when you talk.
To me, being a leader means that you're always doing what you're supposed to be doing and always showing the 7 habits.
All right, thank you. The next question is, how do you show leadership in your classroom or around Sunset Lake?
Like I said before, interpret listening, but also making sure you can be ready or even maybe help someone who needs help with something, or even just be there to listen and participate.
Raising your hand and participating and helping others.
I show leadership by doing the right thing even when no one's watching, always following directions. I'm on the Student Lighthouse team. I walk the kindergartners to lunch, and I've been a safety.
I show leadership by listening when someone is talking and by thinking of others first.
To show leadership in your class, you need to listen and follow the directions. Next, around the school, you need to walk in the halls and be in level 0.
Okay. All right. Which of the 7 habits do you use the most and why?
I use seek first to understand, then to be understood, because it makes sure that you can make sure that you hear the other person's part of the story before you maybe accuse them or even help them. You need to know what they need helping with or what they're trying to say. If you don't really know, it's going to be harder for you to understand, and you need to understand to be understood. I use begin with the end in mind because I like to have a plan for how I can use my time wisely.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so can you share a time or example of a time when you were a leader even when no one was watching?
We were, Miss Chersin left to the class because she needed to talk with 2 people and with another counselor because it was very important business, and she left me in charge, and we were silent leading. It was pretty hard. She was just outside the room, but some other people started being weird or crazy, and I asked them to please stop, and I said it a bunch of times. So then the people, and they wouldn't, and they started accusing me. So then the people who would do it, I just said they were doing a really good job, and I'd tell Miss Chersin that they were probably some of the only ones, and then the other people started being what I said and being nice and listening.
What is one way you've shown another student what leadership means at school?
So I'm a safety, so when somebody's running in the hall, I tell them to please stop, and then they might stop, and then they get 3 warnings.
I show leadership to others when I am helping teachers around the school and when I am doing my safety job. One way I have shown other students what leadership means at school is by setting an example in the hallway by walking in line and having a 0 level voice.
All right, and we have just 2 last questions. We have student-led conferences, and so the students are leading their conference at our second set of conferences. And so we do have, it's October, so it's a little early for this, but these fifth graders have been doing this all their time at Sunset. So the first question is, how did you decide what to include in your student-led presentation for your conference?
Typically, your teacher will give you a format for your presentation. I put my grows and growths and put some of my favorite things for each subject.
I make sure that I'm putting stuff that would be a good example for others, but also showing what I would do even when no one is watching. Also making sure I would include all the 7 habits of what is doing, because that is our role model, as Miss McCaw said, and to make sure that the younger children can understand, so I'm not using the big words I've been using.
I like to include the things I've done well and also the things I need to work on, so my parents are in the loop.
Nice.
All right, the last question. If you could give advice to another student preparing for their first student-led conference, what would you say to them?
I would say just be confident and have a loud voice so your parents can hear you. And yeah.
Make sure to tell your parents both your glows and your grows.
Right. Okay, thank you to all of our Sunset Lake. They earned a cookie for sure by that. All right, that really does wrap up our time as well for the Sunset Lake presentation. Board members, I don't know if you have questions. I'm trying to get to that last.
Students, thank you so much for staying and presenting for us. A number of years ago, when you first started the program, you had an open house, and the kids gave examples like they were leading their own, and they had their binders, which were full because it was later in the year.
Yeah.
And it was really impressive to see a child sit down and say, this was my goal, this is how far I got, you know, and taking responsibility for their own learning.
Not last year because we did the Literacy Leader Night, but the year before that we did it again. I think you were out, because the Vicksburg Foundation was invited, and I don't think you could make it that time. But board members were invited, and so, Mr. Steve, Kevin was there. So it is really great because the binders help them kind of showcase their work. And they need to be empowered with their learning. They need to understand why, connect it to growth goals and grows and glows, as Mikey mentioned. And so having the students own their learning and know the why is a big part of what we want to continue to strive for. So.
I think what we'll do is we'll take a short break because we got kids that got to get to bed.
Yeah.
Before we continue on, but if I could ask while they're munching and maybe wandering out, I guess I was a little surprised at the chronic absenteeism rate, but I don't have any sort of frame of reference historically where that is. Do we have more of a problem with that now in the last decade, or? So
our attendance rate is 95 to 96%. So our chronic absence is less, it's about 6% actually when we go about 5%. So when we think about the state, we are above the state when it comes to absence, like good attendance. And so the data I started with was the worst year of the 21-22 year, and then we've been able to increase it. I'd like us, we tend to be around the 95 to 96. I'd like us to linger up to 97 would be great. There are certain situations recently, unfortunately, where it gets to the point where a truancy officer might be involved. We have to, if it's a student that isn't here, and we've done all those things that I mentioned about trying to do the outreach and talking to the families about all the things, and the children still aren't coming at this age, we know that the parent does have to help us out with this. And so, recently we did involve our truancy officer with a situation that was with, more than one child in our building.
Okay.
So it's an ongoing thing. We do want we want our kids here every day, you know. And then there's also, we don't want sick kids here with fevers. So I mean, you're going to have that, Dr. Schremer. I know you know that part.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a matter of the balancing of being here. I will say one of the things as elementary schools, the three of us, with Dr. Basalia and Mr. Dygert, and myself, we are making sure we bring back the idea, if you're taking a family vacation, you need to get that permission ahead of time. You need to fill that sheet out, trying to make sure that, you know, when it came to virtual school, sometimes it took us a while to get families to understand, like, yeah, you're still missing when you're not here. We don't really have a virtual school option. You need to be here in the seat. So that's just, you know, one of those things. And so, sure, we can send homework with you, but it's definitely not the same when you're not here. And so just making sure that we continue to partner with our families and help them so we can work on that. Yes.
The iReady platform, that was
Yeah.
something I think we voted on in the spring.
Mhm.
It sounds like that's been initially positive, obviously more
yes.
training and things.
Right.
Well, do you think that will also affect like M-STEP
I
scores
do.
over time?
I do, because one of the things is, a couple things actually. When I talked about that depth of knowledge, our curriculum associates representative was able, she came and she did some learning walks with me, and I talked to her about my concern about, okay, we're doing this with our local data, but our state data is not looking what we want. And she mentioned that there's actually specific assessments in our curriculum associates of magnetic reading and ready reading that's connected with iReady, that we can look at the DOK levels and say, okay, if we want a balance of DOK 3 in our assessments, we can go to these, like they have them already outlined. The part about math, they have this MyPath, which students are recommended to have 30 to 49 minutes on iReady reading and iReady math. And as a district across the 3 elementaries, like last Wednesday, we stated to all teachers that we want to make sure, you know, we have Chromebooks, 1-to-1, great. However, we don't want Chromebooks just for anything. It needs to be evidence-based, science-based, like good instruction if we're going to be on them. And the MyPath iReady it's really evidence-based, science-based. And so our kids aren't just on anything, you know, it's a specific program.
Great.
So I do think it will help.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Amy, so I was looking at, I saw your data, and I was looking at the data as
Yes.
well on the Michigan government website. And so it looks like in 22-23, your scores, like third grade was 52% proficient.
It was lower than that.
In ELA. That was 22-23.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a couple of years ago, but then next year, or the following year, it was 22. This year was 31. So what do you feel that, I don't know if it's this new program, what do you feel like you need to accelerate these reading scores and even the math scores?
Well, as I mentioned, it's kind of the rigor part of it, like making sure that some of the locals, the work that we're doing here locally is at the level of rigor that a state assessment is at. We need to work with our families as far as like, you know, when we think about the dogs, determination, grit, awareness, like those words are purposely, like sometimes kids get on a computer and in fact, I can tell you that some of the students that may not have looked like they passed on the proficiency of M-STEP, as teachers and staff were like, I don't think they put their time into it. I think they took that test and they didn't show us what they're totally capable of. It's a long test. It's one data point. And so it's a very important assessment, but it's also one assessment. And so we take it seriously. We want to improve that, and we want our kids to try their best. And sometimes, you know, we have the end of the year assessments, and at that time it would have been STAR, and then we have the M-STEP, and you know, it's just a lot of students looking at a screen taking a test. And so I do think sometimes it's, you know, they get tired.
Yeah, well then how do you know if that's not really your best piece of data? How do you know where you're?
That's why the local data is so important. So like our iReady digs even deeper, like when it talks about the algebraic measured, you know, the geometry, it talks about phonics, phonemic phonemic awareness and vocabulary comprehension, nonfiction reading, literacy reading. So we are really excited about the iReady because it brings it down so deep, and then we can talk about upping the rigor and getting our kids to believe that they got it, that you are resilient, you can do this, you can do it. We say it all the time, we can do hard things. So that's part of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Amy? All right, go to bed. We'll take a little break so that you can do that. Start organizing here.
What does she do?
Right. No, I know. You know, it's.
Community education?
And now,
I clapped.
You did it. Very good.
you know, yeah. So like, yeah.
Did the trick. I can do the wave.
Yeah,
That
it's.
would help.
I think you can find the
Wave. I can do the wave.
There you go. Right.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing a wing.
People like, focus.
We need to move the mic.
All right, we will call our meeting back to order, and it's fun to see children and remind ourselves why we're doing what we're doing. The next item on the agenda is for public comment. Meetings of the board are open to the public. It's the time the board conducts the business of governing the school system in the public arena. This is not intended as a meeting with the public with ongoing dialogue. Staff may follow up with you regarding issues raised during comment time. Please exercise decorum and respect laws regarding privacy and defamation. Please do not refer to students by name. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. We have a couple people who have signed up to speak. What we'll do too is Tamara will have the gavel so that I can pay attention. She'll give a tap when you have 10 seconds, and then we'll tap twice when you know that your time is completed. And that way I'm not staring at a watch. Our first person who wished to address the board is Talia Tessin. And if you want to come up to the mic there.
Good evening, Vicksburg School Board. I tried to keep this in an email, so I apologize for taking up everyone's time, but I am here tonight because I believe it is wrong to allow biological boys into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms. This is not about judging anyone's identity. This is about privacy, dignity, fairness, and protecting children's mental health. Bathrooms and locker rooms are private spaces where students change and use their restrooms. For decades, these spaces have been separated by biological sex for reasons of safety and common sense. When this line is blurred, many girls feel uncomfortable, unsafe, or simply stop using the facilities altogether. That is not right. Title IX was created to guarantee equal opportunities for girls in education and athletics. Forcing girls to give up their privacy to accommodate others goes directly against those protections. Accommodations can and should be made for individual students, but never at the expense of our girls' basic rights. This is simply about ensuring every student is treated with respect and that girls have spaces of their own. The fair solution would be to restore the bathrooms and locker rooms by biological sex while also offering private alternatives to those who request them. I respectfully ask the board to act in a way that protects the privacy and dignity of all students, especially our daughters. I do not agree with the solution that Keevan gave us. I asked for a response from the Board of Education, and I received 2 responses. I thank you for your responses also. I would like to know how the rest of you are going to support my concern and other parents' concerns. You can respond after the meeting tonight or via my email. God bless Vicksburg Community Schools.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Mr. Morse.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dusty Morris. I'm the choir teacher. Most of you know that already. And the Vicksburg Education Association president, and I'm proud to present these stories of Vicksburg excellence and achievement. I'd like to make this a regular thing, and I've got some good ones today. So, as part of Amanda Chesney's, I've got a whole laundry list here, so sit tight. As part of Amanda Chesney's AP research class, students have to reach out to an expert in the field. One particular high school senior is interested in theme parks, and she reached out to a professor associated with the IAAPA, that is the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, and she was invited by him to present a poster at their national conference in Orlando in November. So Amanda Chesney helped her apply for a curiosity grant to cover travel expenses, and she's going to go down there and present her poster. She is the only person who is not a PhD or a PhD candidate presenting. She's a high school senior. This comes from Heather Richardson, counselor at Indian Lake Elementary. We have several younger elementary students who've been struggling with basic learner behaviors, emotional management, following directions, and so on. But thanks to our systems of support, student support meetings, behavior interventions, and other steps, they are making progress and showing improvement. And I think something to note here is the several steps in the process that she mentioned, that it's not a one and done, it's not a one size fits all, it's about consistent individual follow through that the staff are providing to these kids so that these young learners can learn how to be successful in school. Our counselors, speaking of our elementary counselors, coordinated with the First Day Shoe Fund to provide free shoes to students at our elementary schools. And here's a note from FDSF. Thank you for enabling us to fit over 310 pairs of shoes at Vicksburg Elementary Schools on Monday, October 6th. Our staff members and volunteers had a great time and enjoyed being able to support your students. In the past 5 years, the FDSF has substantially increased the number of shoes they are providing to elementary schools in Vicksburg, up from 98 in 2021 to over 300 pairs on Monday. I'd like to point out that Vicksburg visual art teachers are working with the Vicksburg Fine Arts Boosters parent group to continue to showcase student artwork from all grade levels in Vicksburg businesses. This month, more than 40 students' artwork is being displayed in businesses around the Vicksburg area. This will continue all year with new artwork being rotated in every 2 months. Jake Bernacki, art teacher at Indian Lake and Toby, is also teaming up with Pathways, and he's offering online and in-person art classes to the Pathways students too, which I think is pretty cool. I got this from Ben and Jay, Ben Rozier and Jay Bennett. Kevin mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but here's some successes that the marching band have been having lately. Jay wrote to me and said, "We recently took grand champion at the Otsego Band Invitational, second place at the Stevensville Lakeshore Band Invitational, and received Division I ratings and straight A's at the MSBOA Marching Band Festival, which we hosted right here in our stadium, like Kevin said." And yeah, 20 bands, that's huge. Yep. And it's Saturday. Whoops. I'm almost done, I promise. Jessie DeConing, high school English teacher, applied for and was awarded an innovation grant for taking her AP Lit students to see Hamlet at the Chicago Shakespeare Theater this winter. And I'll lead you with a shameless plug. Like Kevin said, come see Seussical the Musical, October 24th, 25, 26. And 3 of our 4th and 5th graders who are in the cast were here speaking tonight as well. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening.
Yes, thank you.
So, Dave, before we go on to the next thing, I know, we don't have conversations with the public during this time, but I want to go on record that I don't agree with boys being in girls' locker rooms and private spaces either. I stood here 2 years ago at that microphone in this school speaking against that, and my concern is the protection. What are we doing to protect our girls? I think accommodations could be made for this other student, this boy that is in that space, without disrupting the private space that is designated for girls. So I'm just saying this right now because I want it on record that I completely disagree with this, and I know everybody's got their own opinion, and I am, that's fine. I'm just stating where I stand on this because the people that voted me in asked me to do this. So thank you to Leah for bringing that forward. We are meeting with a lawyer next Monday. I'm sure Dave and Kevin can address that further to figure out what we need to do as far as violating Title IX. From what I understand, we're violating Title IX, and we will learn more about that next Monday.
Obviously, it's been very difficult for administration because Michigan public schools were under the auspices of the state of Michigan to provide education to everyone and without discrimination. And all public schools in Michigan have policies that prohibit discrimination on the basis of age, race, disability, sex, and including sexual orientation and gender identity. Every public school does. The district is committed to following the law and respecting civil rights and maintaining a safe and respectful environment for all students. And that's not an easy job. State and federal student privacy laws prohibit us from commenting in detail about student-centered issues to protect the confidentiality of all students. But we do take these things seriously, and we are trying to work through all of this, and we are going to meet with attorneys to see where things stand and how we want to educate students. We want our focus to be on that, and how we can continue as a district to respect everyone. And it's a difficult environment to do that, and we are committed to doing that, to recognizing everyone's civil rights and to try to work our way through this. Our next agenda item is approving the board minutes. Item 4A, we have approval of the minutes from the 8th and the 15th. That's items A1 and A2, and with the board's permission, we'll take both of those. If there is any motion to approve those.
Move approval. Okay.
I got Tina and Stephanie.
Yes.
Any corrections, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item 4B is a second reading of the approval of the following policies. That's policy 151 and 154. And as you recall, this is just changing, making it clear about what our organizational meetings, and when we do what we do. We needed to bring that in line with what was actually happening. So with the board's permission, we'll do B1 and B2 together. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Tina.
Supported.
Supported by Dan. Stephanie.
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Tina.
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
And Rick.
Yes.
And yes for me as well. And with that, we'll